Here, so today thought I'd talk about all the books I've read recently. So that's probably from about 20-ish days. These are all the books I've read recently. I've already talked about two of the books, and that's in a different video, so I'm not going to talk about those because that has its own separate video. But the first book is Thursday Murder Club by Richard Osman. That was literally like the first book I read in June, and I gave that 5 stars out of 5. I literally read it in one sitting, and I really enjoyed it. Do love me a good cozy murder mystery book. Kind of reminds me of Slaying the Vampires book by Grady Hendrix. I don't remember the exact title of it, but it kind of reminds me of that because like the characters in there are like older people, like they're like, you know, granny age kind of vibe. It reminds me of that, but only these are like more than like a couple of people. It's kind of like a group. And yeah, I just enjoyed it, and I can't wait to read the second one. I know there's a new one that comes out this year, so I'm going to be very behind, but I feel like I will continue reading that series because I do like me cozy mystery books, and I feel like it's like one of those books where it's like, if you need like a pick-me-up, you can read it and just have a good time. The next book I read was Just for the Summer by Abby Jimenez. This is a romance book, I believe. It's like a series. I don't know if the new one she's written is part of that series, but this is the last one. I gave it 4.25 out of 5 stars. I really enjoyed it. I did feel like some parts there were like unnecessary descriptions of things, and the ending I didn't really enjoy it as much, but I still enjoyed it. It was a good romance novel, and I'm kind of glad I've finished that series. Next book is a 5-star read. This is Promise Me Sunshine. This is just, the characters were really likable. It was just like an easy breezy romance novel to read, and it just gave me all the summer vibes, and it was just nice, and I gave it 5 stars out of 5, and I feel like a lot of people have enjoyed reading that book, so yay. The next book is The Girl from Widow Hills. I gave it 3.5 out of 5 stars. I've never read any books by Megan Miranda, but I thought, you know, give it a go because I'm a thriller girly. I enjoyed most of it, and then the ending was just a letdown. I was just like, yeah, like I feel like if what happened in the ending of the book didn't happen and it was something different, I probably would have enjoyed it more, but the ending was just like, yeah, really? So yeah, and we'll try and read more of her books. If you've read any of her books before, maybe I'll pick those instead, because that one was, it was okay. Like, it's not terrible, it's just the ending just ruined it. The next book I read was Games for Dead Girls by Jen Williams. This is kind of like almost like they're trying to figure out what happened in the past, and of the girl where she's got all these like bruises and things, and trying to figure out what happened. And then there's like this character, I think it's like Susie Smart or something, it's supposed to be really creepy. And yeah, I really enjoyed it. I gave it 4 stars. Like, some of the description in this book is quite descriptive, and it's quite, kind of reminds me of Paul Tremblay, but I felt like it's more domestic graphic. But I really enjoyed the book. The next book I read was What You Have Been Looking For in the Library. I gave that 4 stars out of 5. I really enjoyed it. The chapters were quite long though, but I feel like it's like one of those like really wholesome books talking about books and libraries basically. And I just had a fun time. Nothing too special, but I feel like it's like one of my first books I've read by a Japanese author, so I'm intrigued to know other Japanese authors as well. I've read a lot of manga books, but that doesn't necessarily, I don't know if that actually counts. I don't know, but yeah. Next book I read was A Man Called Ove, but I know in the UK it's called A Man Called Otto. I don't know why they're both different titles, but I gave it some 4 stars because I really, really want to read Frederick Backman books, and one of the series I want to read is the Bear Town one, but for some reason everyone wants to read at the library, so I thought if I go with a standalone novel of his and read that first, then I can figure out if I want to read the rest of his backlist, which I want to do. And I gave 4 stars out of 5. It was just enjoyable read, and I like his writing style, and I can't wait to read more of his books. The next book I read was a Lucinda Berry book. It is called 1 in 4, and this was a really let down of a book. I gave it 2.25 out of 5 stars. Like, I've read a couple of books before, and this one was just nah, not for me. No, it just wasn't very good for me. But the book I read after that, The Engagement by Samantha Hayes, I gave that 4 stars out of 5. I did find that quite interesting. There's a lot more twists and turns of the book. It kind of reminds me of Behind Closed Doors, but even better. Like, if you've read that book and you enjoyed that, I feel like you'll enjoy The Engagement a lot more. Next book I read was One Last Summer by Kate Spencer. I feel like I've read most of her books now, and this is kind of like a summer romance vibe, and they're like camping, so I really enjoyed it. The characters are likeable, the romance is great, I love the setting, gives you summer vibes, and I gave it 4 stars out of 5. The next book I read was The Tenant by Frida McFadden. This is her most recent release, I believe. She's got a new book coming out in October this year. I can't remember what that one's called, but yeah. The Tenant, I gave it like between 3.5 and 4 stars. Like, I enjoyed it, but I do feel like out of her most recent releases, I do feel like it's not as good as, I'm trying to think, one of the recent releases that she's done that I've really liked. I did like the 3rd book in the Housemaid series, but I feel like her recent releases like The Crash and The Boyfriend, like, I enjoyed them, but they're not like top tier Frida McFadden books, so but I enjoyed it. Her stories are like easy to read, and you know, if you're looking for a fast-paced thriller, I recommend her books. Next book I read was The Prison Healer. Now, I've been wanting to read this for ages. I've seen people talk about it, and I read it on my Kindle, and I gave it 3.25 out of 5. I enjoyed it. I feel like because it's like a younger adult fantasy, and I haven't read one of those in a very, very long time, so it took me a while to kind of get used to the writing style again, but I enjoyed it, and I do want to read the rest of the series. So yeah. The next book I read was The Vacation by John Mars. Gave 4 stars out of 5. I really enjoyed it. The only problem is this book when it felt like it went on for ages. But kind of reminds me of The Woman in the Cabin 10, but slightly different. But I really enjoyed it. I just wish the book was a bit shorter because I feel like some parts in the book were unnecessary. They could have got rid of that and it would have been fine, but that's fine. But the next book I read was A Daughter by T.M. Logan. I gave 5 stars out of 5. I really, really enjoyed the book. Like, oh my god, like a new release book. And I got it from the library and it was 5 stars. It was so, so good. Like, yeah, it's about a girl that is missing. Her mom goes to find her at college. She's not there. And have to figure out where she is, and other things happen as well. And it's just really, really good. If this was a movie, or if they did that as a movie or like a TV show, I feel like it'd be better as a movie, not a TV show. Yeah. I really enjoyed it, and I highly recommend it if you've not read any T.M. Logan books. I feel like read that one because that's my favourite of his so far. And I feel like I've read most of his books now. There might be a couple that I've not read of his. But yeah, anyway, and then the last book to talk about is The Firm by John Grisham. This is also a movie with Tom Cruise in. I've not watched the movie. I feel like I need to, because I did that with The Runaway Jewelry. In a sense, I watched The Runaway Jewelry before I read the book, and I feel like I should have read the book before I watched the movie, but it's fine. I also, I don't think I've read The Client yet, but I've watched a movie of that, and I enjoyed it. I gave it 4.5 out of 5. I did think some parts of the book went a little bit long-winded, but I still really enjoyed it, and I believe there's a second book in that series, which I have a copy of, called Exchange, so I can read that one soon, and then be like, yay. But yeah, these are all the books I read recently. I'm currently reading 3 books at the moment, so I'm reading 7 Days in June by Tia Williams. It's kind of like a romance novel. Arthur King by Joe Abercrombie, which is like a YA fantasy. He's done other fantasy novels that are more popular than that, but I wanted to slowly get myself back into fantasy, as I haven't read fantasy in a very long time. And the last book is The Psychopath Next Door by Mark Edwards. A lovely little twisty thriller. And yeah, these are the books I read recently. Please give this video a thumbs up. Comment down below what books you've read recently. Give this video a thumbs up, which I've already just said, but hey ho. Subscribe for more, and I'll see you guys very soon. Bye!